Have you ever heard that silence is your greatest weapon and that remaining silent gives you complete control? Well, here's the twist. What if your silence isn't working for you? When emotions are running high and communication breaks down, it may seem like the only thing to do. However, what if I told you that there is a more effective way to handle this situation? One that not only maintains your composure, but also enhances your credibility with her. In this video, we'll look at a Stoic approach, a timeless philosophy that will teach you how to act with wisdom, patience, and purpose in situations where silence alone isn't working. Stay tuned, because this could permanently alter the way you handle relationships. Let's get started. Number 1. Your quietness boosts your silence, increases her power. You've been told that if you say nothing, she will miss you, doubt her choices, or regret letting you leave, but the reality is harsh. Your quiet isn't as strong as you believe. In fact, if you're not careful, it can work against you rather than eliciting mystery. Your quiet is elevating her and strengthening her sense of dominance. Let me clarify. When you withdraw into silence, you don't appear detached or uncaring. She can see right through it. Your lack of response doesn't shout mystery. She's subtly expressing her understanding of the situation while you're mentally reliving every detail of past exchanges, with the hope that your absence will help her understand her loss. The worst part is, she doesn't feel confused. Instead, she finds validation in your silence, which confirms she remains the center of your attention and dominates your thoughts. You think you're creating a void that she will notice, but she sees it as proof of her power. Your silence clearly communicates to her that she maintains control while you find yourself in a state of uncertainty. However, let's change the subject. Every quiet moment you give her polishes it and keeps her on her pedestal. She sits there, comfortably confident that your silence isn't indifference, but obsession. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, tells us that we control our thoughts. Recognize this, and you will find strength in your silence at this moment. The problem lies in the fact that your focus is on her, not on yourself. Lying is giving her complete control over your emotional state by remaining silent and waiting for her response. Instead of wallowing in silence, consider this. Genuine power involves regaining your concentration and moving forward with purpose rather than remaining silent to elicit a response. You focus that emphasis on improving your fitness. Think of the times you felt most drawn to someone. It wasn't when they were sitting quietly waiting for you to notice them. Rather, it was when they were living fully, confidently, and unapologetically. Their focus was on building their own kingdom, not on controlling your perception of them. That's the kind of energy you need to cultivate, so stop building her throne with your silence. Develop a skill, connect with friends, or dive into a passion project. When she sees you thriving truly and authentically, that's when the mystery becomes real. Stop allowing her to control your feelings while you sit below, hoping that she will notice, take charge of your life, and refocus your energies on personal development. Stoicism teaches you the importance of self-reliance and fortitude. Your thoughts, deeds, and attitude are the only things you can actually control. Make wise use of that power. Can you do better than silence? Silence can be powerful, but only if it originates from a place of inner calm rather than emotional conflict. Acting to develop and ascend will not only restore your power, but redefine it. Second place. Silence is a trap, not a tactic. At first, silence may seem like a powerful move, a way to demonstrate to yourself that you're unaffected. However, in many cases, silence isn't the powerful, independent statement we think it is. Rather, it subtly keeps you stuck, giving the impression that you've moved away from the situation, but in fact, you're still attached to it. Replaying previous exchanges in the hopes that she will notice your absence and wait for her to miss you is unrealistic. While you're sitting there meticulously crafting your silence, she's out there living her life. She's not pacing back and forth wondering why you've gone silent. She's moving on. Silence isn't a clean break. It's not closure. It's an emotional limbo. The trap is not power but hope masquerading as strength, and it keeps you trapped in a waiting game you can't win. In the meantime, your silence turns into a self-imposed prison where every moment of quiet becomes another thread tying you to her. Consider this. Have you ever been silent not because you were really done, but rather because you wanted her to pursue you and feel the weight of your absence? What happens when she doesn't? Take a moment to consider the lessons of Stoicism. Epicurus claimed that we suffer not from the things that happen in our lives, but rather from the way we judge them. If your silence is motivated by fear, anger, or hope, it is a judgment because you are holding on to the notion that she will be forced to react if she doesn't speak, but that is suffering, not freedom. The Stoic philosophy posits that true power lies in detachment. It involves understanding what is under your control and what is not. Your ideas, feelings, and reactions are not within your control, and the only things you can influence are your own viewpoint and behavior. Here's the harsh reality. If your silence serves as a strategy or a move on the emotional chessboard, you're still in the game. However, what if she has already left, away from the board? What if the game ended before you knew it? Now, think about what letting go really looks like. It's not about being aggressive or loud, nor is it about purposefully interrupting someone. Letting go is a silent change within. It's deciding to let go of the emotional burden you've been carrying, not for her, but for yourself. Imagine this. After a fight, you go silent, expecting her to get in touch with you again. Days pass, and you tell yourself you're standing your ground, but in your heart, you're checking your phone for that notification. That's not freedom. That is emotional imprisonment. Here are some ways to improve. Instead of waiting for her to notice your absence, ask yourself why it matters so much. Are you looking for approval? Are you using quiet as a coping mechanism? Are you ready to let go of the emotional cycle? Let your silence represent peace rather than anguish. Letting go indicates giving up on a particular result, not that you have stopped caring. When you stop waiting for her to notice that she's missing you, you reclaim the energy you've been giving to her and channel it towards yourself. Stoicism promotes freedom, so consider whether your silence is helping or trapping you. Are you using it as a tool for manipulation, or are you prepared to use it as a time to reflect and grow? Freedom isn't about waiting for someone to return. It's about having the courage to move forward without them, as that's how you achieve success. If you're prepared to relinquish control and discover genuine inner tranquility, I suggest choosing growth over waiting. Let this be your first step towards reclaiming your power. Number 3. That's how you rise above it now. Take a moment to pause here and think about everything we just discussed. How has silence changed your relationships? Has it been a source of strength, or has it been a trap keeping you tied to the past? Your journey to detachment and freedom begins with honest introspection. It is important to speak the truth rather than your feelings. Most guys think that keeping quiet keeps them from conflict and acts as a buffer against emotional turmoil, but let me ask you this. Does silence actually keep you safe, or does it just trap you in a web of unresolved feelings and never-ending angst? Silence may appear to be the simple solution, yet it's frequently the cause of internal conflict. Speak your truth calmly and without rage or desperation. Clarity. Speaking. Your truth is not about expressing your displeasure or having emotional outbursts. It's important to calmly and unapologetically express your position based on self-respect and logic, rather than saying things to get a response or get approval. For instance, rather than ignoring her when she withdraws or plays games, you could say, "I'm not interested in relationships where respect isn't mutual. I wish you well, but I'm going on." This isn't a request or an effort to persuade her to change her mind. Rather, it's a boundary, a line drawn out of self-respect rather than spite. You can see how this changes the balance of power. Dynamic silence creates a space that she can interpret however she pleases, but truth eliminates all possibility of misinterpretation or manipulation. Silence frequently leaves you vulnerable to her imagination. Will she perceive it as a sign of weakness or as indifference? Truth, on the other hand, remains unwavering. When you declare, "This no longer serves me," or "I've decided to move on," you genuinely mean it. You're free of burdens, and your words serve as your shield, clear, unwavering, and unalterable. Clarity and reason, the conviction that confronting discomfort head-on with reason, instead of trying to avoid it, is what gives one strength. Marcus Aurelius said to avoid doing wrong, saying untruth, and speaking uncomfortable truth. Yes, but it's liberating. And when a woman you've been seeing starts to emotionally distance herself, you calmly handle the situation by saying, "I sense you're pulling away, and that's okay. I won't try to convince you to stay, but I also won't remain in a space that doesn't value me." This is the ultimate form of strength. Take care of yourself. This isn't about humiliating her or attempting to control her emotions. Rather, it's about displaying emotional control and self-respect. What comes next is that she will have to face the truth of your words and deeds without the luxury of guesswork or games. It doesn't matter whether she agrees with your position. What counts is that you've broken free from her emotional hold. Stoicism tells us that inner calm comes from expressing your truth and conquering our inner world rather than controlling the outside. Linz gives you this idea. Rather than avoiding conflict or repressing your feelings, you take charge of your story. You're speaking for yourself, not for her, and that's where the true power is. Imagine the relief your shoulders would experience if you relinquished the desire for understanding and focused on expressing the truth. Truth is like a blade that pierces emotional fog, giving you clarity. The next time you're tempted to keep quiet, ask yourself if you're really at peace, or if you're avoiding the awkwardness of being honest, because the man who speaks his truth, not for her, but for himself, commands respect from both others and himself, and there's nothing more powerful than that number 4. Stop waiting. Silence, on the other hand, may feel safe, but it frequently traps you in a state of emotional limbo. Be the owner of stop waiting. Own the minute. Take a minute to be honest with yourself. How many days, weeks, or months have you been waiting for her to notice your absence? What has that time accomplished? Has it clarified your thoughts or made you more uncertain? Silence may seem like a tactic, but it loses all of its impact when it turns into a passive expectation that someone else will initiate contact. If you're in emotional limbo, holding out hope for a response that may never materialize, is that really silence? Or is it surrender when you find yourself waiting for her to apologize or affirm your value? You're still letting her dictate your emotional state. Even in her absence, she remains the center of your world, a world she chose to walk away from. Every moment you spend in this waiting game is a moment of your life handed over to someone who isn't even present. It's time to ask yourself, are you holding on to silence as a tool for self-respect, or is it simply a disguise for longing and indecision in Stoic philosophy? The concept of control is fundamental. You cannot control whether she misses you, whether she regrets leaving, or whether she notices your absence. These are external events entirely outside your sphere of influence. What you can control, however, is how you respond to the situation right now. You can reclaim your agency by shifting the focus from her to yourself instead of waiting. Take ownership of your silence. Let it become a reflection of your strength and your commitment to yourself, not a plea for her attention. Consider how you could allocate your time, energy, and life if you weren't dependent on this hope. Imagine a scenario where you choose to take action instead of constantly checking your phone for a message that might never arrive. For yourself, consider enrolling in a class you've always been curious about, reconnecting with old friends, or focusing on a passion you've been neglecting. This isn't about breaking the silence, but about transforming it into a space where you can grow, heal, and rediscover yourself. In doing so, you'll find that the most powerful reaction you can have isn't waiting for her, it's deciding to move forward with or without her. Take the first step, not for her, but for you. What happens next is entirely up to you. Let's take a moment to pause and reflect. How are you holding on to your silence right now? Is it empowering you, or is it a silent tether to someone else's decisions? Development requires reflection, and your thoughts matter to you and others on the same path. So let's engage. Leave a comment sharing your perspective or a realization you've had while reading this, or if you're ready to take action, just type this in the comments. I choose to own this moment because that commitment, even in words, can be the first step toward regaining your power and creating a stronger, more independent you. You are number 5. Burn the bridge intentionally. The saying, burn the bridge with purpose, is surely familiar to you. People typically use it with a sense of finality, as if leaving is the ultimate act of courage, but if you've actually done it, you know it's not that easy. The real question is not whether to burn the bridge, but rather how to do it purposefully. While silence may seem like the safest course of action, particularly when emotions are running high, it can also be a prison that traps you in a cycle of regret and unspoken truths. If you haven't fully expressed yourself, can you really move on? Burning the bridge is about becoming at peace with the situation and yourself, not just going away. It's about leaving nothing important unsaid so that you can truly move forward without the weight of unfinished emotions holding you back. Stoicism encourages us to act deliberately in order to steer clear of emotionally motivated snap decisions and instead concentrate on what is consistent with our ideals and within our power when speaking. Speak your truth before walking away. You're giving yourself the gift of closure. This doesn't mean lashing out in anger or trying to make her feel guilty. It's not about revenge or proving a point. Instead, it's about calmly, clearly, and confidently stating your feelings and your perspective, not for her benefit, but for your own. As the Stoic philosopher Epicurus said, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. Speaking your truth is your response, your way of reclaiming your power. For instance, if the relationship has left you feeling undervalued or misunderstood, you might say, I've reflected on what we've shared, and I realize my needs and values haven't been met. I've tried to communicate and make things work, but I see now that it's time for me to step away. I wanted to be honest because I believe in ending this chapter with clarity and respect. These aren't words spoken to wound, they're words that set you free. You're not trying to change her mind or win her back. You're simply ensuring that you leave with nothing left unsaid. Imagine the difference between leaving with a heart full of unspoken thoughts and leaving with the peace of knowing you've expressed everything necessary. While silence may appear strong in the moment, it often leaves us plagued by unanswered questions. What if she didn't understand how you felt? What if you didn't stand up for yourself? What if you never truly let go? By speaking your truth, you eliminate those doubts. You make a clean break. The bridge is torched with clarity rather than rage. Burning the bridge doesn't have to mean devastation. It can mean saying goodbye with elegance and purpose, accepting the relationship for what it was, both positive and bad, and then moving on without regret or resentment when you decide to talk. You're showing emotional maturity by ending things on your terms, in addition to respecting your own feelings. While silence may seem more convenient at the time, it rarely brings about long-term tranquility. Instead, use your words to heal rather than to hurt. Real freedom resides not in quiet, but in having the clarity and fortitude to face the end with integrity. Speak your truth calmly, without expectation or attachment to the result, and then leave knowing that you have done everything within your power. The sixth point is that her apology is a trap. Let's explore a scenario where numerous men fall prey to her while they await her apology. You can clearly picture the moment when she apologizes by text or voice, acknowledging that she was mistaken. It seems as though her apology is a miracle that will erase all the hurt and confusion. But I need you to understand the harsh reality. Even if it does, it's usually a trap and not your closure. I say this because sincere contemplation or growth aren't always the source of apologies, especially in highly charged settings. Rather than having an epiphany or being ready to change their behavior that hurt you, people apologize when they feel like they're losing something and realize their grip on you is slipping. This isn't an act of regret. Rather, it's a strategy to pull you back into their orbit and keep you there. It's not about making things right, but rather about resetting the game so they're back in control. Imagine this. You've made the decision to take a step back, embracing silence and distance, concentrating on rebuilding your life and regaining your peace. All of a sudden, she reaches out of the blue, perhaps with a heartfelt message, an emotional phone call, or even a tearful plea. The ancient Stoics, adept at understanding human nature and emotions, would counsel you to delve deeper as they recognized the potency of manipulation and our susceptibility to emotional influence. Her words seem genuine, leading you to believe that this is the moment you've been longing for. However, pause and pose this crucial question. What has changed now? Has she had enough time to reflect and grow? Or is this just a calculated move to bring you back into her world and reset the dynamic so she's in control again? Epicurus once observed that man's perceptions of things disturb him, not the things themselves. Her apologies, no matter how compelling they are just something your power resides in, how you respond to it. Will you allow it to control your tranquility, or will you decide to rise above it? Nobody else's words or deeds can provide you closure. Closure is an internal choice that doesn't result from a text, phone call, or even a sincere acknowledgement of guilt. It's the realization that you can move on without her apology, approval, or even acknowledgement. The best response to a manipulative apology, or even a lack of apology, is silence. But this silence should be purposeful and powerful, not a result of passivity or fear. Closure occurs when you decide that your peace, your progress, and your self-worth are not dependent on her behavior. This is a quiet that declares, "I'm done playing this game," and focuses on your recovery, development, and boundaries. Her apology, or lack thereof, should not control your serenity. The quiet is about you, not her at all. Your choice to move on, let go, and focus on your development and well-being matters. Don't let her comments drag you back into a cycle that you've fought hard to break. It's not about her words or even her deeds. If you've come this far, it demonstrates your dedication to fully comprehending these dynamics and regaining your peace of mind. Real closure doesn't come from her. Rather, it comes from you letting go, not for her, but for yourself. Your silence isn't just the absence of words, it's the loudest declaration of your strength and independence. Please take a moment to think about this and leave a remark below. Or if you're not ready to share just yet, take a deep breath. Center yourself and just write, "My peace is my power." Sometimes, action begins with a simple proclamation. Let this serve as a reminder that you are in charge of writing your own story. Number 7. Your comeback is your resurrection is incomparable. She believed she had broken you in her mind, and the story concluded with you, defeated, mute, trapped, and broken, exactly as she had anticipated. But she never anticipated your return, which was the one thing she couldn't control. To respond with anger, pleading words, or silence in hopes that she will miss you is normal, but you can do better. Rejection, heartbreak, or being shunned can feel like a devastating blow. You can overcome the story she made for you and completely change the course of events. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, reminds us, in the Stoic tradition, pain is not something to fear or avoid, but rather a tool for growth, a fire that tests your resolve. When she thought she had broken you, she unintentionally gave you the raw material to create something extraordinary. Difficulties strengthen the mind, just as labor strengthens the body. The secret to silence is the next unstoppable version of oneself. Silence has its place when emotions are running high. It can help you reset your mind and avoid bad decisions, but it's only the first step. True strength arises when you take that silence and turn it into focused action, rather than just sitting in stillness. Instead of simply repeating her words or actions, you seize this opportunity to begin anew. Let's say she left you for someone else, or perhaps she decided you weren't good enough for her. The temptation might be to spiral into over-analysis or to plead for another chance, but you choose the higher path instead. Imagine taking all the energy you might have spent focusing on what went wrong and investing it in yourself instead. You get up earlier, work out, establish and achieve new professional goals, reconnect with old hobbies, or pick up new skills. Months pass, and when she sees you again, whether in person through mutual friends or on social media, she doesn't see the person she left behind. Instead, she sees someone thriving. This isn't because you wanted to make her regret leaving. Rather, it's because you realized that your value was never dependent on her staying. The truth is that the true comeback isn't about getting even or making her miss you. It's about overcoming the need for her approval completely. When you focus on living completely and becoming the best version of yourself, you naturally demonstrate to her that your value isn't dependent on her presence when she expected stillness. You don't thrive to prove her wrong. Rather, you thrive because it's your life, your purpose, and your potential. As a springboard, you used her belief that your suffering would stop you from moving forward, which is better than silence. She didn't expect the echo of your growth. Number 8 is altering the narrative to demonstrate to her and to yourself what real power looks like. Swap out, replace the silence with the action of removing it. Being silent is just the first step if you really want to have an impact. There is more you can do. Don't just remain silent and disappear, not as a strategy or a way to play games, but as a conscious decision based on self-respect and personal development. She can wonder, hypothesize, and deduce your intentions if you don't say anything. Absence that closes the door abruptly. To be completely honest, when someone withdraws, rejects, or distances themselves from you, the emotional pain might be intolerable. This is not about punishing her. Rather, it's about releasing yourself. Your initial reaction may be to remain silent, give her space, and wait for her to notice your absence, but even though silence can be somewhat effective, it still keeps you emotionally attached to her. You're quiet, but you're still waiting, still hoping, still lingering in the background of her decisions, disappearing. However, breaking that cycle is about regaining your power, not being petty or vindictive. When you vanish, you completely remove yourself from her life. No texts, no lingering on her social media, no subtly suggestive remarks or likes. You've shifted your attention towards your personal development goals, so you're not just absent, and mental tranquility. This is where Stoicism offers profound understanding. The Stoics teach us to keep our attention on the things we can control, our feelings and reactions. Disappearing isn't about controlling her response. Rather, it's about letting go of any attachment to it. It's about choosing yourself in the most genuine way possible. Imagine her growing distant or rejecting you. It's painful, and the silence between you feels deafening. You might think that if I just keep quiet, she'll miss me and return. But in reality, silence often feels passive and leaves you in a holding pattern, hoping for something that might never happen. Now imagine choosing a different route instead of sitting in silence. You are no longer observing her story. Instead of lingering in her world by liking her posts or waiting for her texts, you've directed that attention towards yourself. Engage in activities such as going to the gym, acquiring new skills, pursuing unfulfilled goals, and focusing on your happiness. This isn't about acting as though you don't care. It's about truly putting your well-being first. If she values you, she will feel the absence greatly. If not, you've saved yourself from investing in someone who wasn't supposed to be in your future. Either way, you've regained your power when you vanish, leaving behind something that silence alone cannot avoid, and you're suddenly no longer an option, no longer available. She can't help but wonder, why aren't you pursuing her? Why aren't you lingering like others might? This space you create enables her to see your abs as a reflection of your value, and the important thing is that you're not waiting for her to notice that you're too busy living your life and becoming the best version of yourself. If she truly values you, she will recognize what she lost and may even take steps to reconnect. If not, that's okay too, as you've chosen to let go of something uncertain in favor of creating something certain for your future peace, your self-assurance. While silence may cause her to wonder, disappearance makes her face the truth of your absence. And best of all, you're doing it for yourself, not for her. Losing yourself frees you and leaves an indelible mark, which is how you make an impact. It doesn't mean you quit caring. Rather, it means you care enough about yourself to avoid anything that threatens your calm. The 9th, get up and allow them to get up and let them wonder. When you rise above pain, concentrate on your personal development and create a life that reflects your strength. You send a message that will resonate deeply and leave her wondering, questioning, and possibly even regretting her decisions. Wonder success is the most powerful and unquestionable message you can convey. It surpasses words, explanations, and arguments. You chose to prosper on your own terms, not because you sought revenge or attempted to prove a point. While silence has immense power, it can alter when paired with advancement. Consider this quiet as more than just not talking. It's about choosing peace over conflict and focusing your energies on the things that are essential to you, your objectives, and your happiness. It's about refusing to participate in the drama, the never-ending questions, or the desire for her approval. But are you capable of more than silence? Yes, you may use your quiet as a springboard for personal development and transform it into an unquestionable force. The Stoics taught that resilience, not retaliation, is what makes one strong. Marcus Aurelius famously stated that the best form of retaliation is to avoid being like your adversary in this circumstance. This entails putting all of your energy into improving yourself every day and mastering yourself. This is where the true power resides and where silence becomes a more profound transformation. When she sees you again, whether in person or through mutual friends, you're a different person. You're composed, confident, and indifferent, not because you're acting, but because you've truly outgrown the version of yourself that once needed her. That's Stoic resilience in action. It's not about vengeance, it's about evolution. Let's say she leaves you thinking you'll fall apart, but instead you rise. Weeks or months pass, and instead of falling apart, you've been consistent in the gym, your career is thriving, or you've found a passion that gives you joy and purpose. Your development will speak for itself. Your joy. If you take this path, she will wonder, regret, and reflect, but your story won't be about her anymore, so silence is best. Your achievements and, above all, your tranquility will resonate more powerfully than any words could ever convey. Seem to be making progress, creating a life so full that her absence seems inconsequential, concentrating on what you can control, your thoughts, actions, and goals, and letting go of what you cannot. The Stoics remind us that the only things we can control are our thoughts and decisions. Make constructive use of that power by letting her wonder and regret. But above all, allow yourself to develop and resist her influence. Your success, peace, and ability to thrive are the ultimate closures. They answer all her questions without explanation. Take advantage of this chance to write a new chapter in your life, one in which you are the protagonist rather than her. Will people interpret your silence as a sign of failure, or will the echoes of strength radiate resilience or reveal pain? Decide to do better than remain silent today. As we come to a close, let's consider the conclusion. When you make progress, opt for change, as it is likely that even she will notice. What are the main takeaways from today's conversation? While silence can have a significant impact, there is no universal solution. Silence can work against you if it stems from emotional upheaval, manipulation, or longing, but when it stems from self-respect, clarity, and intentionality, it becomes a tool for progress rather than a trap. Misuse of silence can give someone else more control and leave you in a state of emotional indecision. The second lesson taught us that purposeful use of silence can foster introspection and personal development, but it necessitates its combination with action, as true strength stems from your creations, not your withholdings. Finally, we saw that speaking your truth and letting go of the need for approval can be the ultimate act of empowerment. The only things we can control, according to Stoic philosophy, are our thoughts, behaviors, and reactions. This isn't just an idealistic concept, it's a useful framework for managing relationships and life. You can't control how others perceive your silence or whether they miss you, but you can control how you proceed by focusing on your development, goals, and peace. By doing so, you regain your power in the most significant way possible. So, consider how you will use your silence going forward. Will it reflect your inner strength and serenity, or will it keep you tied to the past? The decision you make will have an impact on every aspect of your life. Remember, silence is never more powerful than action, progress, and purpose. It's not enough to remove, you must also rebuild. It's your turn to think about what in this video most spoke to you. The idea of transforming silence into strength, the power of intentional action, or the reminder to concentrate on what you can control. Thriving naturally makes you stronger and more like you want to be. I would adore to know what you think. If you felt this video was enlightening or thought-provoking, please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Also, remember to hit the like button. It's a tiny gesture that has a big impact. Let's disseminate the knowledge and increase the impact of these discussions by showing this video to someone who could use the lessons or who needs a new take on managing relationships. Finally, don't stop here. Watch the suggested videos currently displayed on the screen for further in-depth understanding and useful growth tactics. I appreciate you spending time with me today, and I'm delighted to have been a part of your remarkable journey towards strength and clarity. I hope to see you at the next one. Thrive and take control of your life. Remain stoic, powerful, and focused above all else.